thought I would bring you guys outside. And we've got a little bit of snow this morning. I am South Central Indiana, and this is really our first decent snow, which you can see it is not much at all, but it sure does look pretty. Today's January the 6th maybe, and I just thought I would show you how pretty it looks. It's already doing a little bit of melting right now, but hang on, I'll take you over here to the other side. So pretty, peaceful. Still have some lights on out there in the trees from the night. Wood's all stacked up. The birds are enjoying some food this morning, and it's just a really pretty day. Let's start off with these crock-pot smothered pork chops. How about that? So you can see here that this is in a Ziploc. I pulled this out of my freezer. I had it partially thawed, and this was a great freezer meal. So I'm going to show you how to make this, whether you make it as a freezer meal or not. I'm going to show you how to make these smothered pork chops. So I got every last bit of gravy that I could, get the lid on, and get these things to cooking. Now I'm going to take you back in time to show you when I made these into freezer meals. So you can see this large package of pork chops I picked up from Costco. And since I'm tripling this, I have 3 of everything that you need for this recipe. 3 cans of soup, I got some garlic and some black pepper, and then the seasoning packages. So let's get started on making this. Of course, in the description box below, you will find the recipe so you can make it for your family if you'd like to, or if you want to make it into a freezer meal, it's a really good one to have. All right, so into my bowl here, I'm going to get all 3 cans of these soups. So for one recipe, you need your pork chops, you need a can of soup, you need the brown gravy, the onion soup, and some garlic and pepper. Pretty simple ingredients. But I'm just going to get these all going at one time so I can just kind of like, assembly line fashion get these made. So I'm going to get the soups all in here and then add in my packages of the gravy mix and the onion soup mix. Now, I told you all in the last video that I had 2 precious new grandsons. We have 6 grandsons now, the oldest being 7, and the youngest 2 babies were just born around a month or so ago. And I made these several freezer meals for the new mamas. I know how helpful this is. When I was a new mom, I had people do the same thing for me, bring me fresh meals, and my sweet mother-in-law made some things for the freezer, and they are so handy to have in times of, say, having a new baby or some sickness, and then say if you just want to make them for yourself to pull out on a day that you need something quicker and easier than making the whole meal from scratch. What I was pointing out here for this brown gravy mix, it is one of the reduced sodium. I think that's really helpful when you are using some of these mixes, especially a recipe that might call for a couple of them, because they tend to be, they have quite a bit of salt in them. So the last thing you want to have is go to all the trouble making something and it turns out too salty. That's happened to me before. But so on something like this, if you can find the reduced sodium, that is great. The last thing that this calls for is some water. And then, of course, I like to push things to the limit around here. So I have to really gently and carefully get this all incorporated. And this is the gravy portion of this recipe. So into the freezer bag will go this along with the pork chops. And you've got a great freezer meal. Like I said, if you aren't making a freezer meal, just put this together, put it right in your crock pot, and you are good to go. All right, now I'm going to label up my bags here with some pretty detailed instructions, so it's self-explanatory when they go to pull this out. And I just thought, since I had so many pork chops, I really wasn't planning on making them for us this day, and I thought this is a great way for us to try this as well, see what I think about this as a freezer meal. And we really liked it, and it was handy for the day that I pulled it out to throw it in the crock pot. So I really should do more of this, some meal prep or freezer meals, to just help myself out. We all have days like that. So here we go. We got all the instructions, the crock pot, smothered pork chops, the cook time, etc. And here they are all packaged up. These are the two that are going to be delivered, and then I had already stuck the one for us in the freezer. So let me just show you now. I'm flashing forward. I showed you getting those in the crock pot. Now as a side, I made this can of hominy. Do you guys like hominy? Comment down below if you do. My husband James loves it so much. Just cook that up with some salt and pepper and butter. And then we had taken food over to my parents the day before, and I had made a big crock pot of macaroni and cheese. We had a little bit of that left over. Otherwise, I would have probably made something different as a side, some green beans or something maybe. But this was a really delicious meal. I really liked these pork chops. And then I mentioned, the freezer meals. Here was another couple bags of taco meat. That was real quick and easy to get fried up. Took over some taco shells with this, and this was just another very convenient thing, quick to put together, but great to pull out of the freezer when you're ready. All right, now we're going to move on to some meals that I cooked throughout the month of December for some holiday pitch-ins, etc., etc. This one is a taco salad. So this is one that I like to make to take, because it feeds a lot. It's definitely more than for just two people. In the bottom, you're going to start with your lettuce. I had iceberg with just a little bit of spring mix or Italian mix on top of that. Put in some chili beans, got some cheese on the top, and I have some black olives. This is really customizable. You can kind of do what you want, but it's best with an iceberg lettuce because you need a good, strong, sturdy lettuce to hold up. Then I'm going in with some salsa. I just kind of make this one however I feel like it in the moment. This is a pound of ground beef that was fried up and drained. It's already cooled down. And so I usually try to include the beef, of course the cheese, I like to really always use the beans, the chili beans, and the lettuce. Anything else you can kind of do what you want. Then I'm using ranch and Italian. Might sound like a strange combo, but it really works well for this taco salad. Again, use what you want. I grew up with my mom making a cold, large taco salad like this. She used Catalina dressing. She never used meat in it. It was more just the lettuce type base with the beans. So it's, like I said, very customizable. But what I did is took this to a Christmas dinner, and then I took my bag of Doritos and crush those and put them on top when it was time to eat. You want to have those to be put on at the last minute so they can be as fresh and crunchy and crispy as possible. So that was one thing I took. And another thing I took was this jalapeno popper bread, a new recipe to try out here. I've had this pinned on my Pinterest for a long, long time, and I just finally decided I was going to make it. What you want to do here is take a loaf of bread similar to this, and you're going to split it open, and the toppings that will go on this bread are what mimics the jalapeno popper. This is really good. I think I would tinker with it a bit more if I made it again, which I probably will make it again. We did like it. Maybe a little lighter on the sauce. I don't know. We'll see as we get into it here. I'll tell you my thoughts. The ingredients you need are some jalapenos. I chose to use fresh instead of the pickled, but I think the recipe called for the pickled. Some cream cheese, you need some mayonnaise, and you need some melted butter. So these are the ingredients that will go on top of your bread. So let's get started here by using the melted butter first, and we're going to brush that all on top of the bread and get that in the oven just to kind of get a little like pre-bake on there so you can kind of get a little bit of a crisp, not much, but a little on the bread before you add on the toppings. point, I'm adding a little salt and pepper as I'm getting ready to get this mixed up. And then you definitely want to reserve some of your jalapenos to go on top once we get the cheese on there. So that's the good part too, a cheesy topping that of course will get all melty in the oven. So as I was saying, I may have cut back a little bit on this part. I feel like it was definitely, so jalapeno popper, this is of course the cream cheese portion of the jalapeno popper. So I don't know, maybe cut back a little on that if I made it again, is what I was thinking when I made it this time, or when I ate it rather. It seemed like maybe it could have had a little bit less of that creamy mixture. But let me just say, it got rave reviews. Everyone loved it. My son Gunnar especially loved it. I just felt like maybe if I made it again, I would cut back a bit on maybe the mayonnaise. I'm not sure. Anyway, listen at me rambling on. You go on top with some mozzarella cheese and then these fresh jalapenos. I actually, these are some I had in the freezer, and I just pulled those out, cut them up, of course took all the seeds out. I wanted this to not be super spicy, so everyone could enjoy it if they wanted to without worrying about the spice level. So once you get this all done, it goes in the oven and bakes up. Look below for the full recipe. And here it is with just a few minutes of bake time. What I decided to do, since I was taking this along for Christmas dinner, I baked it a little bit here at home and then I put it in the oven once we got there to finish it off and get it golden brown. And we are off to another Christmas gathering, and on this day I am making a really delicious, brand new to us slider recipe. So it starts off with a pound of Italian sausage, and you want to fry that up in chunks. You don't want to, get it really finely ground as you're browning it up. So it said to leave it in kind of bigger chunks as you fry it up. Drain that off after it's all cooked, of course, with the peppers and onions. You drain that off, and then you go in with some of this pasta sauce. Look at this mixture, and if you could have smelled the house this morning, it smelled so good. I am making this in the morning time because our gathering was at noon, so I got this on that morning. Like I said, once this was all fried up, got the grease out of the pan, and I've just put a little bit of the sauce. I didn't want it to be so saucy that it would just be, a bigger mess than it already could potentially be with a little sandwich like this. So just enough sauce to really kind of bind it together. And what I did is I just cranked the heat way down and let this just very gently sit here and simmer together. And I'm telling you what, just this mixture alone, it got so thick. The fragrance in the house was amazing. Look how thick this mixture is. Yes, this was delicious. You could do 100 things just with this meat and pepper, onion, and sauce mixture. Oh my word, it was great. All right, there it is. Now, you saw me take my little King's Hawaiian rolls. I already had split those up and put a nice layer of shredded Italian cheese on the bottom. Anytime I'm doing a slider recipe like this, I like cheese both on the bottom and on the top. It kind of works as a glue that holds it all together. So on top of that goes this delicious mixture, and I had taken already separated the buns apart, like I didn't want to have to cut through this. So this worked out really, really well. Just kind of got this on here. And again, like you can just see how thick this mixture turned out to be. Just got it all spread out evenly. Put another nice big layer of cheese on the top and the top of the buns on. Went in with a butter and garlic mixture, microwave that up, poured it over top, and then you can see here I'm using my crock pot again, my casserole style crock pot. I went ahead and put this foil in the bottom. I've never done this before either, but I just didn't want this to stick to the bottom, so I thought maybe the foil would be better, and honestly, it was perfect. It kept the bottoms a little bit maybe more crisp than they would have been, maybe a little bit more soggy without it. I don't know. I think it did. I would definitely do this again, and honestly, I can't wait to make these again. These were so, so good. And last but certainly not least, a big pot of chili. We've talked about this on here before. Do we follow a recipe for chili? Do we wing it? I am a wing it girl. I just make chili with the ingredients that I have on hand or whatever I'm feeling in the moment. That's what I did here today. So ground beef, onion, garlic going in. Get this all fried up together and drained. Get some ingredients out of the pantry, and you just can't get much easier, but so delicious. Is a big pot of chili or a big pot of soup in general. And I think in the middle of a busy holiday season when you have so many extra activities, it's nice to get a big kettle of something on like this, and you can eat on it for a few days. And so you're busy with everything else. You don't have to think about dinner. That chili is better the second and third day anyway. So I'm going in here with, today I used the chili beans, tomato sauce, tomato paste, and stewed tomatoes. Of course, a little water to rinse out the can every time. Get that into the kettle as well. I've said before, James likes a real heavy tomato flavor on anything that's got tomato, and he likes the chunky stewed tomatoes too. So I made this today with the things that he likes. So in with the ground beef, and then in my freezer I had, seems like I had bought jalapeno peppers a few times and didn't use them for what I thought I was. I don't know. Those are so great to go in the freezer. Back when we grew a garden, we haven't grown a garden for a couple of years, but we've been married 32 years, and many of those years we had a garden. Um, we love to grow jalapeno peppers, and they are so great in the freezer. I just kind of wipe them off with a damp cloth, throw them in a Ziploc bag, and in the freezer they go. So I had some jalapeno peppers in the freezer and pulled those out. These were actually already even diced up for me. Threw those in there. This was so, so delicious. All right, you guys, this is just about here. We're into the end of the video, and I just want to say a big thank you again for what sweet people you are, the sweet comments that you leave. I enjoy talking to you in the comments so much. You guys are the best. Hope you've had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope you're off to a good start this new year. And I'm just looking forward to a fresh new year 2024. All right, you guys, I will see you the next time. Good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.